You found us through fly fishing. You'll stay for our passion and the community. Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing podcast.
Yeah, but he doesn't get it. How come fly fishermen don't get it?
You only haul with the short power snap.
Look for where people walk and the insides of bends and hunt those.
The roof blew off and the interior walls got sucked out. And the trees are just coming up. And I mean, he's clearly not going to clear the trees.
It is not a fly fishing story. It's a story about me trying to understand my brother through fly fishing.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today.
We've been waiting for you. Follow our guests, follow us on Instagram, and share this episode and the love if you enjoy this podcast. And we are live in 3, 2, 1. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us on. How are you?
Good. Great. Yeah, thanks. How are you doing, Trent?
I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. We've been chatting a bit in the background. Like a lot of these, it takes time sometimes to put them together. And I don't know exactly where I found you out there. I think your name is popping around. And I think DIY is also popping around. And just, I think especially this day and age, trying to do these trips. I'm always thinking about it. How do you do these trips without spending a bazillion dollars, to do them? And I think you have some insight. We're going to dig into that today. But before we get there, I'm really interested in what you have with you have a podcast I know out there, but talk about that, the Bum Diary, and how that came to be. And then we'll dig into a little bit more on DIY.
Okay, so the Bum Diary, it's a really long story. But essentially when Trent and I met and we did our first season working down in the Florida Keys, so we bartend and serve when we're not fly fishing.
Oh, nice.
And so we moved down in his old 92 Explorer.
Yeah.
92 Explorer, and genuinely we were living out of the back of his truck for months, right? So until we were finding housing and jobs.
And everyone kept calling us bums. And then Facebook Live, this is old, dude. We started this like 8 years ago. Facebook Live had just launched. And we just had so many people that were asking about what the hell we were doing with our lives. And like everyone thought we were just being bums on the beach. So we just kind of launched it it was on our personal Facebook page. We just did it for friends and family. And then a marketing guy got a hold of us. And so he's like, you guys should probably brand this. So we branded it. And then we're very bad at being consistent. Like all our followers know that we are. We've had a podcast for a while, and then we were trying to get back on YouTube and stuff. But mainly it's just kind of our brand, man. It's just the way me and Janelle live our life.
Yeah, the Bum Diary started in the back of an Explorer, and we were just documenting what we were up to and with our lives. And then it kind of transitioned to our travels as well, because on our off seasons, we really like to travel and primarily to fly fish. So we were documenting that. And that's when we kind of created the Instagram page. And then from there, it just kind of continued on. And then we did our podcast for a while. Rest in peace to the podcast.
Yeah.
So you're done with the podcast?
Yeah, we kind of put the mic away for a while. Who knows if we'll pick it back up? We're kind of those people that will pick it back up within like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I'm sure you have some loyal listeners. So anybody who's a loyal listener like we are, man, to do a podcast like you've done, man, like I said before we jumped on here, man, like congratulations, 500 episodes, right? That's wild, man. That's wild.
Yep. Yeah, it has been. I think it's one of those things where, like with all of us, you find that thing you really love and that doesn't feel like work, and then you just go with it. And I think, that's been my secret. And I think for you too, probably, right? You find that thing. The podcasting probably wasn't something you felt. I'm guessing it felt like work after a while. Is that the case?
Well, we spent too much time fishing, man. It was like to the point where it was like we left the podcast. We still pay for the podcast, and we're going to keep paying for the podcast to be hosted because we went to Argentina during the COVID thing, and so there's a lot of great. We were actually doing a live podcast from Argentina. Probably like one of our better accomplishments in the Bum Diaries history. So like if anybody is thinking about Argentina recently, this is from 2020. So we left all that information on the internet. So you guys can still definitely find episodes about like fly fishing, Montana, Yellowstone, even New Zealand. I think we did a couple New Zealand ones back in the day.
Gotcha. Okay. So right now, if somebody wanted to find you, where do you send them? I know you can Google up the Bum Diary, but is it YouTube? It's not podcast? Is it Instagram? Where's the best place to take a look?
So the best place would either be Instagram or YouTube. Our Instagram handle is just the Bum Diary, one word. And then our YouTube show is the Bum Diary Show. And we should pop right up.
Okay.
Yeah, if people find us on YouTube, That'd be funny. Because like our YouTube is like probably the worst YouTube page in the world. But it's funny, man. It's we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I think we're swinging for the fences. And so yeah, if anybody finds us on YouTube, that'd be funny.
Perfect. All right, good. So we got this, and today I want to chat about, not only your background and how I'm interested. The Ford Explorer is pretty funny, and we've had that actually come up before on other podcast episodes. But just the DIY thing. Like you said, a lot of people out here maybe don't have a ton of money. How do they get into this and do some of these amazing trips? Especially, I definitely around North America, but you're doing stuff around the world, right? As far as on a budget. Maybe start us off there really quick. What's the secret to your success? What would somebody, if they're not familiar with that, how could they, do a trip where they don't spend, tens of thousands of dollars?
Well, that's like our budget is probably, I will be honest, the overseas trips, like Montana is like, you can still do Montana for so cheap between the national forests and the camp. I mean, you've had so many people that on your podcast about that. I mean, so when you're talking overseas, the biggest thing with overseas is there's two things you can't get away from. One is the travel price there. So like the travel price there, you just have to bite the bullet. No matter where you're going in the world, whether you're going to Christmas Island, New Zealand, wherever you're going, me and Janelle just like, we don't even think of that in the budget. It's like, we got to pay to go there.
Like the flight and all that stuff.
Yeah. So New Zealand right now, what did we pay, Janelle, for plane tickets this year?
This year, I think we found a really good deal. I think we found tickets for like what?
$2,200?
$2,200 for 2 tickets, round trip.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good deal, man. To go all the way to New Zealand, $2,200 is not bad. We're also flying to Argentina. Argentina, it's weird. The easiest way for your listeners, just fly into Patagonia, which is Bariloche. Those run about $2,500. The thing with Argentina, and then a car rental. So once you get to Argentina, that's the other thing. So the two obstacles that you guys can't get around on price is the flight there and then how you're going to get around. After that, that's where me and Janelle get very frugal. That's like where we like try to get very frugal. And it's like, but once like, and it's a big learning curve. Argentina is a bigger learning curve than New Zealand.
Oh, really? So Argentina was easier than, or New Zealand was easier than Argentina?
I don't know that it was easier, but when we so we went to New Zealand, probably like 4 or 5 years ago now. And we were broke. Like when I say broke, I mean broke. We had probably $2,000 in the bank account.
We should have never went to New Zealand.
Yes. And we were sitting around the fire drunk and we're like, should we buy these tickets? And we're like, let's do it. And then we justified it because there was like a 24 cancellation policy. So we're like, if we wake up and we don't want to go, we won't. Well, anyways,
that's awesome.
We're like, let's send it. So we bought the tickets. And then when we actually got to New Zealand, we didn't have a lot of money. So we ended up buying this Subaru, like this tiny little hatchback Subaru from someone on Facebook for like $800. And this thing probably shouldn't have been on the road. Like the clutch was going out.
We sent it though. We sent it all over the Southern Alps. One time we had to go to a mechanic at the bottom of a pass and he wouldn't let us leave because he was like, dude, this car shouldn't even be on the road.
Oh,
and I was just like, hey brother, I don't care what you think. I'm like, we're sent. You should see our Ford Explorer back in the States. That's what I kept trying to tell him.
Right. So I don't know if it was like cheaper or easier necessarily. It's just what we made of the situation.
No. I think it may be what you were meaning is in terms of like New Zealand is very easier in the sense of like they have supermarkets. First off, like they have like supermarkets, so you can go and like get everything you need in one stop. In Argentina, first off, we've been down there now. We've been down there a couple times now. I love Argentina, but it's like we don't speak Spanish.
Right.
And every single time you go into a town, dude, it's like, listen, we love Argentina. I love everything about Argentina. But like sometimes like with just the social stuff in the country right now and everything and the inflation, you don't know if the store's open. You don't know what the store has. You have to go find the bakery. You have to go find the person that sells the meat. You have to go find the fruit stand.
Which is kind of cool, right? I mean, that's amazing too.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. But listen, it takes all day, man. Like in Argentina, it is not a joke, dude. When you got to go to town to get money and pesos illegally, it's like all this. It's a wild world.
Oh, right.
Argentina's awesome, dude. It's awesome, but it's wild.
Bear Vault has the perfect solution to keep your provisions secure while heading into the backcountry this season. Bear Vault builds a rugged polycarbonate locking canister that keeps bears and other wild animals away from your food. Proper food storage is one key to an epic trip in the backcountry. Please head over to wetflyswing.com/bearvault to check out this must-have solution for the outdoors now. You support this podcast and your safety this season by clicking through that link right now.
So it sounds like, Argentina, you want to, if you're doing this sort of thing, that put an extra time so you can have those days where you're going to be like not getting anything done or not fishing, where you're just dealing with that sort of stuff, right? So is that kind of the case?
Yeah, New Zealand's the same way because New Zealand has this thing called a sandfly, and every single year if we're thinking about Argentina or New Zealand, I don't know. Janelle likes New Zealand, but we always think about sandflies. So I mean, everything has their issues.
Gotcha. Okay, so and tell me, and we're going to be jumping around all over the place today because I'm interested in a lot of these topics. But did you also have like a farm or something, or is that something you had going? I saw out there.
We are retired farmers.
We are retired farmers. That's a great way to say
it. Yes. We are officially retired.
Okay, so you had a little farm that you were working on, and now you're away from that?
Well, long story short, dude, because we don't want to get too sidetracked because we could go really down the rabbit hole with me and Janelle. But I had a heart attack in college, and then after my heart attack, I moved to Montana, and I've been out here for a long time. I ran into some, I don't know, it was just bouncing around, being a bum, being a raft guide, fly fishing guide. Went back to my farm in Michigan where I was born and raised. I took over the farm. I was growing hops. For breweries. That's how I met Janelle. So when we bought our tickets drunk to New Zealand the first time, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to sell all these hops like in 4 months. It'll be fine. We're going to have like 20 grand coming in. And we sold like $1,000 in hops. And I was like, we were screwed, dude. We don't have nobody in our life we can ask for money. So when me and we get attacked on the internet a lot about being like these rich kids and stuff, man, we give more money to mom and dad and I love mom and dad than mom and dad sends our way. So so we tried to take over the farm. Then Janelle got involved with my life. And Janelle, she took over the farm. She made it profitable.
Wow.
So she was one of the biggest flower farmers in probably Dahlia Farm. Anyways, she made it very profitable, the farm. But we realized at the end of the year, we didn't fish anymore. Like we were just fishing Argentina. And we really loved Montana, and we were only fishing Argentina and New Zealand. And we just realized if anyone's a farmer out there, I'm sure there's farmers listening to this podcast. I grew up on a dairy farm. It was funny, and I said, oh my God, we're going to raise a family just like I was raised, no vacations, always hoping for the crop. So it was a really hard decision. And Janelle ended up selling the farm, and she said she was done with it. And so, I guess we're retired. That's a fun way to say it.
There you go.
Well, you wouldn't believe it if you saw our camper, dude. If you saw our camper, you would think Janelle has more plants in our camper than we had on the farm.
That's right. I would hear about the camper too. So you sold the farm, so you're off away from that. So I want to take it back to the heart attack. I don't want to miss that. This is because you don't sound like a very old person. Can you give us some insight? What was that about?
Yeah, so it's a long story. It's well documented on the internet. I even tried writing a book about it one time. If you're starting to see a theme about the bum diary, we kind of start things and just try to see what sticks. But I had a heart attack in college. I was an athlete, just a long distance runner. LeBron James' son just had the same thing I had.
Oh, right.
We just go down. Yeah, so same thing I had, man. And I was kind of on the cutting edge of new technology. So I was like one of the first people to get like a machine in my heart. It's not it just shocks me back to life. I got it's a long story, dude. And then, it's just like, so I just had my second heart surgery, actually, dude. So I just had my second heart surgery. And, man, I just started rowing a boat again. If you want to talk about, dude, putting me down,
wow.
It was crazy, man. We just started rowing a boat again, 2 weeks ago, man. So this is the happiest Trent you'll ever talk to.
There you go. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, well, and I mean, we've had some of these stories over there, and I just, bring that up just because it's, I think it sheds light for people out there, right? Lots of stuff's going to happen to us over our lives, and you don't know who's going to die and who's going to live and all that stuff. So I appreciate you kind of give us a little background there. Talk about the boat. I'm always interested in boats. What is this boat you're rowing?
Okay, well, listen, we have a famous boat on the internet right now. It's our raft in Argentina that got stolen.
Our Outcast striker raft that was held for ransom for a long time.
Yeah, this guy stole our boat. It's a long story.
Oh, really?
We had to evacuate. We had to evacuate out of Argentina during COVID, and we had to leave our boat in Argentina, and we smuggled a raft down there because you can't really take American. Anyways, we have this boat. It's Outcast striker raft, man. It's the only raft without a metal frame.
Oh yeah, I know the striker. Yeah.
Yeah, we love all boats. We love all companies. But I'm telling you, when we were going to Argentina, I've been down there a couple of times, and I was like, we need a boat in Argentina. You do not need a boat in Argentina. But for me, who's grew up as I was a raft guide for I need to be on moving water. It's my own, and especially with my heart, dude. If I'm going to die, I want to die on moving water. And so anyways, so we went really down the rabbit hole. We talked to a whole bunch of different companies, and dude, Outcast was like, hey, we got a boat without a frame. And I was like, nah. I am not taking no non-metal frame raft down to Argentina and sending whitewater on rivers that it may take you 7 days to go down without a house or a road to get off. Turns out that boat's actually, dude, that they actually have some we send that stuff, man. We send it anyway. So we started working with Outcast because that was our issue. It was like, yeah, can we really send it down rivers? Like, is this I don't know, dude.
Big water.
Yeah, it's a frameless boat. I've never seen a frameless boat, man. It is perfect for what we are. Like, throw it in the back of the car and go.
That's amazing.
Literally throw it in the back of the car. Yeah, we just had a little crossover hatchback, and that thing, you could just fold it up and go anywhere. It was awesome.
And then you just pump the boat up in 2 seconds, and you're literally rowing whitewater. And Janelle can stand in the front. That was the other thing.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't fish from a seat.
Yeah, well, I was just going to give a shout out for episode 466. Chris Callahan was on, and he talked about that boat. He's with Outcast, and he went through their whole lineup. And I haven't been in it yet, but he mentioned how cool. And that was my question. I was like, wow, you can actually make a standing platform with a bar out of basically, there's no metal on it, right? It's all inflatable.
It's all inflatable.
We still don't believe it every time. Every time we're on it, every time I'm on it, I'm like, I still don't believe it, dude. It's a wild boat, man. It's a wild boat.
It's a fun little boat, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have that patented, but that's what I told them when I talked to them last. I said, hey, you guys better patent this because this is like, it really is, man. Up here in Montana, we have a really crappy old rickety boat that I've had forever. And I keep telling Janelle I'm waiting for it to break so we can buy a new one. We're the funniest people on the river. People make fun of us all the time.
Like what's the boat? Like Faith, is this a drift boat or is this like a canoe or what type of boat?
Oh, it is a 20-year-old cataract boat. The company doesn't even exist anymore. Some dude made it in Colorado to send mountain rivers, like mountain creeks. And dude, this boat is so old. The design is so crappy. Everything. I don't know, dude. We always send it down the river. It's awesome. Me and Janelle can pick it up, so we can actually go down side channels.
Is it a raft or is it wood?
Yeah, it's a little cataract.
And we have a Chihuahua. She's probably more famous. People like her more than us now. So we got this little Chihuahua that rides in the front of the boat.
Nice.
So it's a little wild.
Yeah. So you guys, it sounds like you enjoy being on the edge, like with all this stuff. It sounds like you're always, you got these boats and all this stuff. What do you love about kind of the way you've been doing things the last few years?
I just love the spontaneity of everything. I mean, before Trent, I feel like Trent's such an interesting person. Like, I'll tell you one thing, he does not make life boring.
Because we're broke. It's because we're broke. It's like she's talking about me and duct tape together. Janelle
like I said, life is not boring.
Yeah, Janelle did not grow up rich, but she grew up she didn't grow up a poor dairy farmer. So sometimes Janelle's like our camper we just bought. She's like, "Are we really gonna send this?" I'm like, "Yes, we are."
Yeah.
So if you watch any of our old Bum Diary videos, you'll know what we're talking about because there are a lot of videos out there where we're sitting on the side of the road, stuff's broken down, we're smoking, like we're just waiting for the time when our raft finally takes the toll and we're on the side of the river. But hey, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Amazing. So you bet you're loving it. That's a cool thing. You're out there fishing. And is that the main, when you're traveling, is it mainly to get to a fishing destination or do you have other things you enjoy about that whole process?
Trent is like solely focused on fly fishing. I love fly fishing, everything about it. I would say that is generally how our trips are geared. We do a lot of like sightseeing in between and eating food, drinking.
Everything starts as is there fishing there? Like, especially trout fishing. We're not big saltwater people. So everything for us is like, is there trout there? So like Northern Italy, we can circle it. We got some friends from like Alba Gigeria does stand and Kyrgyzstan's. There's trout there. It's circled.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's like, and then Janelle's awesome with like, especially like in New Zealand, Argentina, Janelle's awesome in being like, hey, there's some caves over here with like 10,000-year-old drawings or something. You know what I mean? Like, or there's a beach over here with like rubies. And so that's like, Janelle's got to hold me back sometimes because there's a lot of times too where I'm like, all right, you're right. We got to stop sending it so hard.
That's right. No, this is cool. So you love the travel and the fishing, of course, like we all do. So let's take it back real quick, Trent. I want to hear both and Janelle, kind of the fly fishing. So talk about, just bring it back to what's your first memory of fly fishing? How did you first get into it?
For me, I was 19, 20, fresh off the heart attack in Montana. And, man, I had my mentor. He's still my life mentor, man. He started as a bartender and he does his own fly fish guiding now. And he's got a nice business and raised a family. He's kind of my mentor. And, he was just, I was just a 19-year-old and he was like the older bartender and he was getting all the girls and he kind of took me under his wing. And his big thing was he like connecting with the outdoors because I moved to Yellowstone, didn't really understand the draw of this area and and everybody in Montana has an outdoor thing. And I was a big bass fisherman. So my big thing was I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on another fishing project. So I was trying to get into rock climbing or anything other than fishing. And then, man, I'll never forget, we went to those little teeny, I can say the name, the Gibbon River in Yellowstone. It's a very famous river. But there's only like, dude, like, if you're lucky, you know, the lucky, like he can catch the big ones. But, you know, for me, it was like, dude, I saw a little 6-inch brookie take my my little dry fly. And then I don't know, man, you know how it is. You go through like a breakup or bad relationship, or you get down in your luck. And man, I was in a car and he gave me his fly rod, and I was living on the side of the river for like a couple of weeks trying to get back on my feet. And it was just me, this little fly rod, and my dog. And I don't know, so I spent a couple of weeks doing that, and then became a whitewater guide. And man, when you're on the whitewater, when you're just watching fish, like it was during the salmon fly season in Montana, I'll never forget. Like because that's like, it's beautiful because I watched Janelle do it too. It's beautiful watching somebody learn fly fishing, and then it's beautiful watching them like understand fly fishing, and then it's beautiful watching them like, holy cow, what is a salmon fly? And so I just think the salmon fly was the time I fell in love with, like, yeah, I'm probably gonna do this the rest of my life.
There you go. And Janelle, how about you? What was your first memory?
Oh man, so I had never fly fished prior to Trent. I was more of like a bobber and a worm kind of girl. But no, I met him and he kind of introduced me, and he floated me down the river for the first time. And I remember throwing out my first cast. It was just a little dry fly. And in the middle of the river, this giant trout came up and smashed it, but didn't take it. Like,
dude, hold on.
I totally missed it. I didn't know what I was doing.
Hold on. Her luck with giant fish has continued. It's crazy. Janelle will just be roll casting.
And this was right at the boat launch. And I was like, whoa, like what was that, you know? Yeah. So obviously that's exciting, not knowing what you're doing. And then
she hooked a steelhead on a swing. Like,
no way.
3 days later,
no.
I was like, you were so lucky. Yeah. And she fished that run for the next 7 years, and she never caught one out of there again. I said, did you see how lucky you were? She's like, oh, is this how you catch a steelhead? I'm like, no, that is not how you catch a steelhead.
Right. Oh. So then as Trent and I's relationship progressed, he brought me out to Montana, and he was so patient with me. Like, I remember we were floating down the Snake River for the first time, and we were throwing hopper droppers, and I tangled every 2 minutes. Exaggeration.
And then what did I do? I knocked the dropper off because I told Janelle, I said, listen, I don't want your first fish to be, and no offense, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, but because my first thing was that dry fly hit. And I said, hey, you're going to have to learn how to get a fish on a dry fly. And this is like September on the Yellowstone River in Montana. These fish are the most, probably, I think, other than the Madison, probably the smartest fish in the world. And so I told Janelle, I said, yeah, you're going to have to cast where, you know what I mean? And so it took her, I was so patient, dude. Tell them about that one time you in that pocket.
Oh man, there was this little trout, and it was sight fishing, and we were not spooking this trout at all. It was probably 12 inches, and it was rising. It was sipping dries on the surface. All I needed to do was get it above this fish's head, and I could not do it. And it was so embarrassing. And within one cast, Trent hooks this trout, obviously. And
because she's like, this fish isn't eating. I'm like, yes, it is eating. I can see it eating.
So, and there were multiple days on the river where we would have pockets of trout rising, and I could not catch a fish, but I loved it.
Listen,
it was so much
fun.
I
would not throw on red worm for her. I said, listen, if you don't want to love fly fishing, that's fine. You don't have to do fly fishing. I said, but I want you got to catch one on a dry fly. You know what I mean? Like, you got to catch one on a dry fly. And we hit the best, one of the best mahogany hatches I've ever seen, like a late night. And so in Montana on a late fall day, half an hour before the sunset, you can get into a good size 10 brown bug. And every fish in the river will play, dude. Every fish in the river will play. And we were in one pocket, dude. It was like a 20-foot run off of some ripples. And I'm not joking. There was 20 fish in there rising, and a couple really nice ones at the head of the pocket. And dude, Janelle could not. I love her to death. It was crazy.
So needless to say, it was a long learning process. Thank God Trent has a lot of patience. But I mean, fast forward 7 years. It's so much fun. Trips to New Zealand, trips to Argentina. I love it.
She actually figured it out in New Zealand. The first time, we got to be honest, disclaimer, we're not liars. I did end up throwing on red worm because I was getting so frustrated. And Janelle finally got a brown trout.
Yeah, the San Juan worm.
Yeah, she finally got a brown trout. And then then in New Zealand, I think that was the first time Janelle was upriver, but I'll never forget. She was upriver by herself on the South Island. And dude, the first time we went to New Zealand was rough, dude. Everything they say about New Zealand is very true, people. It is no joke, dude. It takes a minute. Unless we discovered, we were fishing in the wrong areas. We just said, hey, we're done chasing these trophy 12-pound fish. We're going to go to other areas where there's a lot of fish, but they're more 16 inches like Montana. And I sent Janelle up this river, and I'll never forget it, man. She did it all, man. She casted out this little parachute, had perfect line control, thing came up, she hooked it, line control, nice brown, very nice brown, and netted herself. I'll never forget it in New Zealand. We didn't catch any fish the first time to New Zealand, man.
No.
So this is kind of our redemption trip.
This is the second. So when were you in New Zealand for the second trip?
We are actually going back in October. So our second trip is coming up.
Right. So the first trip, how long were you there in New Zealand?
We were there for 8 weeks?
Yeah. We try to do everything in 2 months.
Yeah, that's a good number.
That's our off season.
Yeah, a minimum of at least a month is always required.
Yeah. So when you look ahead at, just let's say, I don't even know if you look this far ahead, but you say the next year, do you look at that and say, okay, we're going to do New Zealand for 2 months, we're going to do this, or are you just thinking we're going to do New Zealand and see where we're at after that?
We always buy these tickets like on a whim.
We bought these news. Yeah. We're a little boozed up.
We're really good at just like getting a few beers in us and being like, should we buy tickets? And obviously there is a little bit of discussion that goes into it prior, like, oh, where should we go this year? Should it be Argentina? Should it be New Zealand?
And we can't afford to wait. So 4 to 5 months out is the best time to buy tickets. So 4 to 5 months out, like this year especially, we didn't even know if we were gonna have the money again. So we're trying to get back on our feet. So it was like, are we gonna have enough for New Zealand? And then we were running the money, and Argentina and New Zealand right now are about the same price, to be honest. Like literally, so we're big numbers people. So for years, New Zealand was off the table. But Patagonia is exploding. It's getting more expensive. The car rental is way more expensive in Argentina because they know they got you. Whereas New Zealand gets more day trippers from Australia and China. So there's more of a tourist industry. Like in Patagonia, they know they got you. And so we kind of looked at the math, and New Zealand became affordable. Their dollar is very strong right now worldwide. The dollar is crushing it right now versus other people's exchange rates. So New Zealand was affordable, man. It was affordable. I mean, it's still like $10 a gallon gas down there, but those are things you got to get over.
Sure, you still have that. So basically, yeah, you're doing this trip. So as you look ahead, you don't really know what the next year is going to bring you. You're thinking New Zealand first and then see where we go.
Yeah, we're going to hit up New Zealand. We'll definitely be back in the Florida Keys for the winter. And then after that, we don't know.
We come back to Yellowstone. Yeah, we always come back. We always do Yellowstone and we always do Key West. Is
that your family in Yellowstone, or what? Why Yellowstone?
No, we just work out here.
Yeah, money.
And we love fishing out here. And
right.
Yeah.
So you do like you said, you do the bartending, right? And you said surfing too.
Yeah, we're seasonal workers. So we work in Montana. I guess all our customers ask this. We work in Yellowstone. So we work May, June, July, August, September, a little bit of October. That's in Yellowstone. And then we're overseas November, December. So to answer your question, we really don't know where that's at.
Sure.
And then we're in the Keys December, January, February, March. And then April, we kind of just take our time slowly back to Montana.
Gotcha. So that's it. And then back to Montana. So yeah, I mean, you've got a few things going. It's pretty awesome because you got your program you're working now. So Yellowstone, and you're kind of behind the bar doing that whole thing. Then you have your overseas, and then you come back to Florida, which is cool. So when you're in Florida, when you're staying, are you always finding new places to stay? Maybe, do you have any tips there if somebody wanted to stay at a place for a month?
Tell them, Janelle, don't you lie to the people. Janelle lies to her customers every day.
And who are your customers? The customers you're talking about, the people coming into the bar?
Tourists are our customers. Tourists. That's where we make all our money. Tourists ask us all the time, where do we live in Key West? And Janelle always lies. But because you're a good friend now, and this is for your podcast, yeah. Janelle, don't lie to these people. Where do we live at in Key West?
Tell people that we live in a chicken coop. Like, it's just, like, how does that sound? Okay, I tell people we live in like this cute little bungalow. Like, no, it is a converted. Well, it used to be a peacock coop.
Yeah. There you go.
It's all converted. It's not like there's like straw on the floors anymore.
There's no chickens currently.
We don't live with chickens, but
so that's okay. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
that's
nothing
awesome.
Glamorous. Outdoor kitchen. Like, we cook on a hot plate. We shower outside in an outdoor shower. Like, it is definitely not glamorous, but it is the most Keysy thing.
But you're in Florida. So you don't need any. Heat isn't a big issue.
No.
2 days of winter, yeah.
Yeah, 2 days of winter we freeze, but
yeah.
That's cool. So that's what you do down there. And so let's stay on that tip thing a little bit, like the DIY. You've obviously taken this to the extreme, which is amazing. You know, you're able to do this stuff. What would be somebody else trying to do some of these trips? Say they have a month or 2 or 3 to take off, to do it on the cheap if they didn't have much money. Give us some more. What other tips would you be telling? Let's just say it's in North America and they're doing like you're doing, traveling to Florida, around the country. Any insight there you can give us?
I know a lot of trips that we've planned, we have camped. So like when we're in the US, we have our camper van. And you don't even need anything like as fancy as a camper van. You can literally just have a little sedan. I've seen people do that too. But camping out of your car, there's a lot of BLM land around. As far as eating, I mean, you can do that as frugal as you want. I know Trent and I, we've definitely made it on like rice and beans, no joke. But we always prioritize. We always have a 6-pack at least. So
that's right. What's your beer? Does it matter? Are you more like IPA or what's your beer choice?
Oh,
dude, we spent
everything.
Years trying to get sponsored by Busch because that's the first beer I drank with my grandpa. And so we can't. It's funny.
It's all good. It's all good. Busch is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Busch and PBR guy. And then Janelle's a Sauvignon Blanc lady.
I do like my wine.
There you go. Perfect. So like you said, the car is interesting because that's an easy way. Yeah, like you said, the Ford Explorer. I can't remember the episode number we did, but we did it with the folks, basically the OPST. You know, that whole background, the guys that were creating those Skagit lines back in the day. Ed and the crew, and that's what they did. And I heard the story about how they basically lived out of a Ford Explorer so they could fish all these great steelhead rivers up in Washington and in Canada. And they said the stink in the car was just unbelievable, right? It's 2 people sleeping in the car. So is that like, how do you, is that something where you roll the windows down, or how do you do it if you're in a Ford Explorer with that?
Dude, the Explorer was so hard.
Because that's tight. You got enough room for, the seats probably fold down flat, but I mean, 2 people is about all you can get in there.
Yeah, I took all the seats out. So it was pretty wild. And I had to put a little fridge in there. The shower was the hardest.
The shower was the hardest. I feel like, if anything, personal hygiene, is the biggest obstacle. There's a lot of river showers. For a while, I was showering out of like a bowl and like a washcloth. That was interesting.
You want to know a big tip? I'll give your listeners a big tip that's different. You know what a big tip is? You have to get over what people think about you, especially when you're trying to live frugal, because we once had to share. This is probably the lowest point of our life. When we were living out of the Explorer, we had to shower out of a bucket in a Walmart parking lot. And people were looking at us, dude. It was in Naples, Florida. So these rich people did not want us around. And we were just red bucket in our like swim trunks. And so like a big tip is like, because a lot of people judged us for a long time to our lifestyle, like even in our family. So a big tip I would say is like, don't really worry about like, hey, you know what, if you have to make ends meet, like if you really like, especially in Argentina, New Zealand, don't worry about people like, I think sometimes people like we hear that a lot from people that reach out to us, like, I could never do that. I could never get on the road. I could never shower out of a bucket. And I always tell people, I'm like, of course you could shower out of a bucket. If I said, hey, I'll give you $1,000. You got to take a shower in 5 minutes out of a bucket. You would do it in 2 seconds. Of course you can do it, And I think that's like a big tip for people is just like, hey, you can do this. Like, if, you can do this, especially in like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and we see it out here. Well, it's different obviously, but there's a big homeless problem out in our area. And this is totally different than what you're talking about, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you see these people, they're obviously living out of their campers. They're broke down on the side of the road. I mean, there's literally, you'll drive down the highway out here, like right on the freeway, and there'll be somebody with a giant campfire, people huddled around, like, you know what I mean? Like right on the so this is everywhere all around where we live. And
where are you at? Portland?
Yeah, Portland. Yep.
Is it? Sorry, I wasn't trying to judge and guess, but yeah.
No. Yeah. And I think, there's other areas. I mean, California, right? There's plenty of places, but for sure, Portland is like, there's people everywhere that are struggling. And I think, the drugs is obviously a big part of that. But some people I think just like, right, they don't mind that lifestyle. And I'm, you know what I mean? So when you see them, you're like, oh gosh, right? It's like, that's a struggle. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that maybe I'm drawing conclusions I shouldn't be, maybe, right? Is that kind of, I know what you're talking about is different, but.
No.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm just saying like more too, like when it comes to like, especially like in fly fishing, like to relate it to fly fishing, it's like there are going to be some days where you're at the boat launch, like Janelle said, rubbing your armpits, and people are going to be looking at you. You know what I mean? And it's like, but listen, you got to save that $5 on the shower, like, and it's just things like that. People make fun of. It's kind of funny. People make fun of the gear me and Janelle fish because we are not fancy. You know what I mean? Because like it's just like, hey, we're like very Argentina. Argentina, there's a saying that I say about Argentina, like, does it go? does it work? Does it run? And so like with my fly rods especially, I'm like, does it cast? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's laying out the fly line.
This is a great, because I love the topic, because there's a lot of, what is your fly rod? Are you what's the reasonable fly rod? Because there are some out there that are reasonable. What do you guys work there?
Honestly,
$300.
Yeah.
$300 is high end for me and Chanel.
Yeah. And what is that? What is that, Echo, or what's the rod?
So we have a Redington rod.
Yeah.
We have a Redington 5-weight that we love.
Got a...
What else?
We do.
Everything. Yeah, we do have.
We kind of have a lot of Redingtons, because Redington. Listen, so we used to have everything. We used to have Scotts and old Orvises and Sage, everything. And then listen, here's a good tip for your viewer. Take an extra tip to South America. Every single rod you have. So that's why we have a lot of Redington and Echo right now, because Redington and Echo allow you to go on their websites and just buy another tip. And listen, that's something like me and Janelle, like that's a huge tip. Like you should take an extra rod tip. So right now, all our rods, especially this year, because I had second heart surgery, so I couldn't row the boat. So we started fishing out of the car again, like day trips. And I rolled.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Trent rolled all of our rods up in the window.
Oh,
not once,
damn.
but twice. He did it twice.
Broke all the tips?
All the tips.
Oh,
twice.
God.
And it was like in a matter of like a month.
Yeah. So this new tip about getting extra tips is like a very new tip in our life. Like I told Janelle, I said, what company? So we had like 7 different types of rods, right? And so I broke all these tips at once. So I had to go call like 4 or 5 different companies, dude. In Echo and in Redington.
Yep.
Dude, I called them. Customer service. Listen, we don't get anything from these people.
Sure.
We called them. We talked to a human, not a machine, for an hour. Then it was literally like a human. And they're like, why don't you just go to our website? I'm like, huh? And I went to the website and it's like extra tip. Other companies were like, you got to send us your rod. I'm like, I just need a tip. Can I just buy a tip? I'll literally give you $100. So just send me a tip. And Janelle has to say goodbye. She got bar customers.
Oh, you guys are doing this while you're working?
Yeah. We're opening. It's only 1:00 here.
Yeah. Do you want to give a shout out to the bar? Is that okay to do?
Oh, 100%. It's called Bullwinkle's Bar. They're actually huge. They're in West Yellowstone. It's called Bullwinkle's Bar. So Bullwinkle's Bar. And we work here. We've been here for a long time, man.
So you're in West Yellowstone. So you know the guys down at the fly shops. There's like 4 or 5 big fly shops there in town, right?
Yeah, so I need to plug somebody. Justin at Big Sky Anglers.
I was just going to say that was exactly who I was going to tell you to check in with, was Justin.
He is, in my opinion, he is my mentor for Argentina. Justin has saved our ass. If it wasn't for Justin, he saved our raft. This guy stole our striker raft in Argentina. That was like the whole story. The guy stole our striker raft, and literally Justin's guys, like, dude, Justin has saved me so many times in Argentina, and he never expects anything. And they are the people. Like, I can give you little tips and tricks, but if you're a listener who's listening to this podcast, who I think his trips are like probably up there about the 10 or 15 zone. But if you want to turnkey best amigo in Argentina, his connections are the deepest. Yeah, just because he has the deepest connections, because he is like the soccer player, an Argentinian dude,
Yeah.
So.
And Justin, I'm just trying, I can't remember the name of the episode or the number, but he was on a while back. In fact, I think he's been on twice. The first one was episode 57, Argentina Fly Fishing with Justin Spence. And he broke down, same thing. He broke down kind of a DIY. One other shout out, Jerry French, episode 139, The Intruder Revolution, was the one where Jerry was sleeping in his car in the Ford Explorer with Ed Ward and the guys. So, but this has been cool, Trent. I think, obviously what you guys have going is unique, but I think the inspiration here is that you're doing something that like anybody can do, right? You guys aren't using, not having enough money that you can't go to New Zealand. You're doing this stuff. So, I mean, what is do you think the secret to your success here? Have we talked about or anything else you want to say? Like, how are you able to do this? Is it just basically being frugal and that's the bottom line?
Nah, I think the biggest thing, and again, I hate bringing up the heart attack all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me in this is like, dude, when I was in Yellowstone, I was like 19, 20, and I had this old man. I'll never forget him, dude. I had this old man like grab my arm, and like I was like, "What are you grabbing me for, dude? What else do you need?" And he's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "You're a good kid. You seem like a very nice guy." And he's like, "Don't." And he just gave me this speech about, "Hey, when I come to Yellowstone, all I can do is just look. I can't even hike the boardwalks. I can't get out of my car. I can just look at the mountains." And he told me he gave me a big tip actually. So he was actually a good guy. He gave me a huge tip, dude. And he said, money-wise, he gave me a huge tip.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, man," he goes, "I have more money than anybody, blah, 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 blah. My kids are blah, blah, blah." And he just the way, dude, he was so sad, man. And he's like, "I'd do anything to be 19, blah, blah, blah." And I didn't even listen to him at the time, dude, because at the time I was just like, "All right, whatever, old man, let me go." And but it really stuck with me, man. So I think like a big thing, like I just hate hearing, dude, people reach out all the time to me and Janelle, and that's always what they say is like, oh, so like for us, I guess it's like, it's hard, man. It's hard in this new America to like, especially with people, like a lot of people are listening and we get the same hate mail all the time. Oh, It must be nice to take 2 months off and go to New Zealand, like blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's why the Bum Diary, that's why we try to document it. Like, hey, like we're saving up for our own bar. We're starting a family, But you know how it is, dude. You're on the internet, so you get the same stuff.
Yeah. No, I think that's why it's amazing is that, you're always going to have some haters out there and, that's fine. There's nothing you can do about that. But the bottom line is you guys are doing your thing and you're enjoying it. And like that old guy said, I think that was his point was like, hey, I got all this money, but I can't even really use it. Like you'd be better off going out like you're doing now and traveling the world before you get to a place where maybe you can't. I think that's my take home here, right? And you're doing it without having, hundreds and thousands of dollars in the bank, right? I mean, you can literally do that now.
Yeah, and when I stopped being a fly fishing guide, and because I wasn't really fishing anymore when you're a fly fishing guide. So I stopped being a fly fishing guide, and I told, and that's what I mean when to tie it back to fly fishing once again. If you're that's the thing. Like, if you really love fly fishing, and there's like, if you want to do a steelhead trip or something like us, and it's like, hey, I really don't have the money or the time, but I think if I save up for a year or two, and if I do it like this, maybe I can just go and just get it done. And when the last time I was a fly guide, I started telling my customers, especially up here on the Madison River, man, in Montana, probably one of the most pressured waters in the world up here, and I started telling my customers, I'm like, hey, man. All we're looking at right now is we're looking 5 feet up the bank and we're looking 5 feet down the bank. And those 10 feet, that's your 10 feet today. That's where we're looking. We're not looking up the river. We're not looking down the river at so-and-so other boat. We're looking at our 10 feet. We're going to fish our 10 feet and just be happy that you own that 10 feet right now in the moment. And so that's what I started telling. And so when it comes to fly fishing, like for me and Janelle in New Zealand, Argentina, people will always tell us like, oh, it must be nice to get 2 months off. But the reason we do that is so we can have our little 10 feet, even though our 10 feet is out. So whatever your 10 feet is out there, I don't know. I just hope people, that's like part of I guess that's part of our brand, if that makes any sense.
Love it. No, it does. It makes total sense. So you guys, we talked about Argentina, New Zealand. What, when you look out, have you thought about Alaska? Or do you have like a bucket list of places you're thinking, okay, or are you just thinking New Zealand, Argentina are the places we want to travel each winter?
Yeah, so Janelle, I love her so much. It's harder for her than me. So for me, I eat the same meal every night. I drink the same beer every night. I cast the same fly when I'm in the mood. You know what I mean? I'm very like that, dude. And whereas Janelle is the butterfly, she gotta go everywhere. So every year, Janelle's wish list is like Alaska. She really wants to catch a Dolly Varden, like one of the big, dude, that's her. And I tell her, I'm like, listen, I love you to death, but we make 80% of our income in the summertime. So we're kind of locked into the Southern Hemisphere. And so it's always new. I mean, Tasmania's down there. There's a couple French islands. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, there's some French islands that are out in the middle of nowhere. They have the world's biggest brown trout, but it's illegal to fish unless you get a blessing from the French president.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's things out there in the world that I want to go to, but, yeah, that's why we focus on the Southern Hemisphere, and it's easy to raise a family. I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody else, but there are other Americans in Argentina raising a family, and so that's why we're probably going to end up in Argentina. We're trying to become Argentinian citizens.
Yeah, you want to move down there for good.
Yeah, we don't want a guide. And I have so many Argentinian friends that are going to listen to this. I don't want to be a guide. I don't want to step on anybody's foot. I don't want to make any money in their country. We would love to set it up where we can go to Argentina for our 2 months and have our own little garden. And we just want to chill for 2 months, man. When you work in the tourist world, man, then, people, I thought being on a fly boat for 8 hours with one person was a long day, but dude, answering the same question every day is a little, but I love it, man.
Right. Is that the hardest thing? Is that the hardest thing about being in the place where you are working now? Is that, what is the hardest thing about that line of work?
The judgment, that criteria around being a server in your later 8 years. You're still a server. And dude, the tourists, man, I love the tourists. I'm probably the biggest pro tourist voice in this town. I'm a big tourist fan, man. Hey, everything in Montana, even on the internet, I argue with people about the tourists in Montana. I was like, you do know this is our biggest income. What I mean? There's not much logging and mining going on anymore in Montana. So sorry, I got some motorcycle tourists pulling up. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's I love hate with these guys, but Yeah. So the hardest thing though is all the same questions. But it's my job, man. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it. But it does burn you out. So people are always like, "Why do you go to Argentina?" Like blah blah blah. What do you do down there? And I'm like, man, I go down there and I don't talk to anybody for 2 months. I just reset, man. I just reset for 2 months. So just me and Janelle.
Yeah. That's amazing. Cool. All right, Trent. Well, let's. I want to take it out here. We have this little segment, our listener shout out we've been doing, and Paul Hoekness checked in with us on email, and he was talking about how he's been really loving the show, and he gave us some. He talked about DIY. He was like, "Hey," I asked him what episodes should we do more of, and he was like, "Hey, you need to do more DIY. I want to find out how to do these trips without spending a fortune." So I think we tried to touch on that a little bit here today. I think, do you have any other tips, or do you have like a gear item that you guys are traveling that you don't leave home without? Anything else you want to shed light on what you have going?
No, we're not the smartest people, dude. Like I said, we just come up with things on the fly. So I got a dry bag story if you want. Oh no, this is gonna make me sound bad. It's gonna make me sound so bad. But you know what? I tell the tourists this story, so I'll tell you guys. I just started rowing a boat again. My doctor told me I wasn't even supposed to be out here till like July. Came out a little early because you know how finances are. And I started getting on my push-up regimen. I was like, I just want to row a boat again. There's a moment where I didn't think I could row a boat again, dude. Second heart surgery is a little third heart surgery. Like, I love doctors. They make a joke. Wait till the third. So I was really worried. Like, am I going to row a boat again? Am I going to be able to fish again? Am I going to die on this? So it was like, it messed me up, dude, the second heart surgery. Because in the first time I had the heart surgery, I didn't have nothing, dude. I was just a young buck ready to go. And now I got Janelle, and like, so now I'm trying to make sure she's set up for life. And so it's like, anyways, dude, the dry bag. So the first time I went to Argentina, I got rescued by the military. I'll tell you that next time. I got rescued by the military. I was on a river. I was just a young idiot, dude. I was just going to send this river for 7 days. I was unprepared, had to get rescued by the military. It was just stupid. And then when I was a whitewater raft guide, I was just stupid. You just like, it'd be like, let's just steal a boat, go down whitewater in the middle of the night, no life jacket, no nothing, to a full moon. It was just like, I don't know. You just want to live on the edge as a young kid. And now Janelle makes fun of me about the dry bag all the time. Like, oh yeah, you can't go anywhere without your dry bag. And it'll be like 100 degrees. And I'm like, okay, do we have a rain jacket? Do we have extra warm clothes? Do we have matches in case, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's so funny. I carry around a butterfly net and never use it. She's like, why is there so much in this dry bag? So Janelle's always giving me crap about the dry bag. And we've been using the same dry bag since she met me. I got it as a pro deal 10 years ago. So it's not even a dry bag anymore now, man. It's just a bag. And so for my birthday, she got me a new dry bag this year. And so we go to our favorite river down in Idaho. And we're getting on the river, dude, and it was like 98 degrees 2 weeks ago, 98, 99. Oh, it was brutal, bro. It was a tailwater, though, so the water was cold. Sure. Don't want nobody coming at us.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a hot day upstairs. And dude, I had just started rowing, and so I get the new dry bag, and I'm starting taking stuff out of the old dry bag. And Janelle looks at me, and she goes, can you please try not to make it look like the old dry, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay. And I looked at her and said, you know what? I'm not going to take everything because it's 99 now. I don't need like the thermals. I said, but I am going to take my rain jacket just in case. Cause and so I told her, she goes, I don't want my rain jacket. So we get halfway down this river, and dude, out of nowhere, I mean, just a storm like I've never seen. And 15 years of being on these rivers out here, and it started, dude, it was pouring harder than at first we thought we were going to wait it out. Then I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know if we should wait this out. Then like 5 drift boats got together, and everyone was like, this is kind of wild. I've never seen and we're all kind of like, oh, what are we going to, this is like nasty. What is this? This is different. Even some old timers. So we all like, let's just get down this river. And dude, the lightning was striking. Like you could see the lightning hit and hear it was nasty. And I put my rain jacket on, and Janelle, she was so funny. She was just like, she would not. I was like, do you want my rain jacket? And she was like, no. She's like, I was the one giving you shit about the dry bag of being over prepared. And she's like, don't give me your rain jacket. I'm going to sit in the rain. I deserve it. And I was just like, it was just like such a funny moment between me and her. We get to the boat launch, and 10 people on other drift boats don't understand what's going on. So everyone's looking at me like, why are you wearing that brand new Sims jacket? And she's wearing a tank top. And I was like, and she kept telling me, it's a warm rain. And it was so funny because we got in the truck, and she's like, going back to your point about gear. She looks at me and she goes, I'm never ever going to question you again about about ever overpacking the dry bag. And I said, yeah, because she would always make fun of me, man. My wife, she loves making fun of me. She was always like, she'll take shots sometimes. Like, there'll be two branches of the river, and the left will look better than the right, but the right looks safer, but it's flatter, and the left looks like it has a good juicy bank. So she always wants to send it. Oh, look at that bank over there. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't see around the corner. If I go to the right, I know it's only a foot deep and boring, but I'll be safer. So she's always giving me crap about, you're getting old. But it is true, man. As you get older, you do start to worry, I guess. It's weird, man.
Yeah,
it's weird. I never thought that would be me, man. But now even like the bears up here are a big issue right now. And yeah, this has been the worst bear year in a long time.
Oh, really? Are you getting bears? Like, what is the worst? Just more bears around town, or what does that look like?
No, like aggressive bear attacks. Like, this is like an all-time, dude. There's like attacks, dude. That's what I mean. Like before, man, there's some hikes I would never do again now. Even people I know, like the most manly men in this town who are the biggest hunters, they won't even hunt by themselves anymore. Like, the bears are getting pretty aggressive up here in West Yellowstone.
And why is that? Because we've had all these years of, just nobody's ever died sort of thing, or, but now why is this year, do you think, that happening?
Well, I'm not an expert. Well, let me preface this by saying, there was a big wolf debate here 10 years ago. Like, oh, should there be wolf hunt? And I was always pro-wolf, because if a wolf kills a livestock, the government pays for that. And wolves don't actively hunt humans. I'm a big Lewis and Clark guy. I'm a big history buff. And Lewis and Clark, both their journals, they wrote about like, wow, like, and Lewis was trained under Thomas Jefferson. Anyways, that's a long story. Lewis was a trained botanist, man. He spent years training, and he like spoke about the grizzly bear, like he compared it to lions and tigers, and he's like, there's no animal that aggressively, like every other animal kind of runs away from Lewis and Clark. But when they were the first people to see, like, not other than natives, obviously, but when they saw these grizzlies, like, dude, these grizzlies actively tried to, and so I think the grizzly is just such a unique species. I don't think American, being in Yellowstone since 2006, man, I don't think people understand, like, the grizzly is dude, it's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the top of the food chain, man. I know we can carry around a gun, but I think it's the top of the food. I mean, and so I don't know. In West Yellowstone, we've had a couple of attacks, and so more than I've ever, dude. It's like every year now. It's like, and then like when guides get killed, a hunting guide got killed, and that's like what really set everybody on fire up here. Was just like, wow, like a guy with a mountain man got, so it wasn't even a tourist now, And so me as a fisherman, there's some hikes, dude, around Grand Tetons, dude. There are some hikes that I used to do, and like. The only place I've ever really bumped into bears, and I don't think I could do it anymore, man. That's what I mean by getting old and scared. I don't know, but the grizzlies are an issue up here. That is for certain right now.
Yeah, gotcha. And maybe it could be, there's probably a number of reasons, but I'm guessing there's probably more people just because after COVID, right? There's more people out there. So you're going to have more altercations. And
again, that's the two biggest things. One, there is more people in the woods. Not going to disagree with that. Two, there's way more bears, and there's really not like a bear plan, I don't think, out there. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm a pretty local here, locked in with West Yellowstone politics, and I don't think there's a lot of bears, man. I don't know what there's a lot of like theories up here, like what is the real bear count? Have the bears? So Yellowstone bears aren't native. They were actually brought in because there's a natural bear population in northern Montana. And again, you have to fact check. People got to fact check me on this because this is just talk of the town. But from what I believe, my understanding is that the Yellowstone bear was actually brought in. And so the Yellowstone greater ecosystem, there was always this thing like called the Great Merge or whatever. When are our bears going to expand? Like the Crazy Mountains, which are just north of Livingston, Montana, the Spread Creek area. There had never been a grizzly there like in 100 years. And me and Janelle swore we saw one last year with a local when we were fishing down there. I swear we saw one. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I see grizzlies. I see a lot of grizzlies that look like a grizzly to me. And that was last fall. And then this spring, they got a picture of the grizzly and spread. Oh, it's the first grizzly in 100. I'm like, no, this thing was here last year. And the farmer said he's seen it the year before. So it's almost like, and Michigan has it with the cougar and the lower. I don't know, dude. It's like, it's funny, man. It's like
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what it is, well, part of it is that, I mean, it's the people, there's no question, and habitat, fragmentation, right? And all it's just continuing because there's more people in the country than there used to be. But grizzly bears are also really smart. We've done a few episodes on this. We did one on Yosemite, and it was interesting because it was, I'll put a link in the show notes because we talked about Yosemite has a lot of bears. Well, they have bears, but not as many as like Yellowstone, obviously, is a different thing. But it's just that bears, they get used to the humans. And as soon as they get used to eating their food and their garbage and stuff, they're toast. You got to kill them because they're just going to cause problems. And, my guess is that, that guy that died, the hunter, like a lot of these things, right? There's cubs involved, you try, but it's still kind of 1 in a million that you're going to get attacked by a bear. Would you say that's still kind of the case?
Well, I don't know if it's 1 in a million anymore because, like you said, nobody really. So there are more people here, dude. There are more people here, but dude, the tourists, not a lot of people hike anymore, man. And so there's still more people here, and there's more people on the trails. But man, if 4 million people come to Yellowstone, 3.9 million stayed on the pavement. But dude, the only thing is like the grizzly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. But like I said, like from the Lewis Diaries, the grizzly is a very aggressive animal. So it's one thing with a bear getting to your trash can. It's another thing with a bear hey, we defend our area by killing. And it's the only animal in America, man, that like really, I know there's cougars and bears that kill people. Even beavers, man. Beavers have smoked people up here.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think I'll leave it there, Trent, just since we're obviously not the experts, but I think what I'll do is bring on a beaver or an expert for bears.
Yeah, no, I just thought I had mine one time. I'm just joking around, but you know what it is, man. But just be safe up here is what I'm trying to tell people. Be very bear aware up here.
Yeah, it's good. Love it. Cool, man. Well, hey, give us one before we get out of here. I always love to get some music because I love in the show notes and on Instagram to throw some music out there. What's your go-to? Do you have like a song, a group, a type of music you like to listen to?
Yeah, I got a playlist. I just put on Spotify. I put you guys can actually find our playlist called The Bum Diary is Here.
Perfect.
It'll be funny. It's Dwight Yoakam and Atmosphere. We just put two of them together. So I get a little underground hip hop and then I get a little old country in me. So
yeah, I love both of those. Yeah, Dwight Yoakam. That's perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll get some of that going here. And I guess we know what you got going the next year. You guys are going to be traveling like normal in Florida in the wintertime. Before we get out of here, anything else you want to leave everybody with on everything you guys have coming?
No, sir. Thank you very much for everything, man. And maybe we'll bump it. Hopefully one of your people come in and say hello at us at Bullwinkle's this year.
We will. Remind us again. So it's Bullwinkle's in West Yellowstone.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, we'll hopefully, I'm not sure when this episode's going to go live, but hopefully if it's this summer, you guys will be there, until October? Did you say early October?
Yeah, we're here every summer, so we'll be here next year too. You ever get through this area or not really?
Yeah, definitely. No, I love that area. We're going to be there, October. We're going to be in near Driggs. We're going to be fishing the Snake in that area here early October.
Yes, sir. That was the river where the rainstorm happened. I didn't know we were allowed to say that on the internet anymore. We'll bump into you down there, man. So that's where we spend every weekend. People can find us down in that area of the world.
Cool. All right, Trent. Well, I'll leave it there. And thanks again for shedding light on what you guys do. I think your stories have been crazy and inspiring all in the same. I think it gives people a realization that you don't have to have a ton of money to do great things. So I appreciate you for coming on today and let Janelle know as well.
All right. Thank you, sir. You guys have a wonderful day.
That is a wrap. You can grab all of the show notes at wetflyswing.com. And please follow us on Instagram and share this episode out with someone you love. Please send me an email, dave@wetflyswing.com, if you have any feedback or want us to put together an episode on this podcast for you. Check in anytime. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and would love to meet up with you on the water. We have new fly fishing schools going all year long and all around the country. So if you want to connect, let's do it right now. All right, time to get out of here. I hope you have a great evening. I hope you have a great morning or great afternoon wherever in the world you are. And I appreciate you for stopping by and checking out the show today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com.